You know, this week I had the biggest realization that superhero fatigue and growing up out of superhero content is absolutely a f***ing lie. Hey y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. So I'm gonna kick this video off by letting you know that it's gonna be an incredibly honest sort of train of thought video, and I know that when I'm super honest about anything on this channel, it's probably a problem because I tend to get a little too vulnerable, but hey, you guys are my friends at this point, and I like to do these videos very much feeling like I'm actively talking to somebody, and unfortunately I'm a chatterbox, so I always say too much. But about 2 weeks ago, on our way back from Nebraska, my dad and I were sitting in the airport having a conversation. We were basically complaining about the state of Hollywood. And my dad is very much not a superhero movie person. He's watched plenty of them because he used to have to take me, but this is not his thing. This is my thing. And I said to him, you know, the content that's coming out these days, it doesn't excite me. This stuff isn't as enticing to me as it was anymore, and we're seeing all these flops at the box office, and maybe superhero fatigue is real. And he looked at me and he said, Jay, at the end of the day, when you started watching this stuff, really seriously, in the live action sense, you were like 11, 12 years old. You're 25 now. You're probably growing out of it. And I kind of flash back to my childhood because I don't know how many of you grew up normal, but I grew up with a whole lot of anxiety. And I remember always thinking, I hope I want to play with my dolls forever, because the day I give up my dolls, I'm gonna feel like a part of me is dying. And there was a last time that I played with my dolls, but it wasn't a stamp in my mind until maybe 6 months or a year after that, when I realized that they were just sitting there collecting dust. And I said, oh my God, I finished playing with dolls. Like, I don't play with toys anymore. And I remember being so sad about that because it really felt like I had closed a chapter in my life without actively thinking about doing it. It wasn't something that I was conscious of. And so looking at it now, this detachment that I feel to the Marvel content, and I specifically say Marvel because I think Marvel was kind of the thing that opened the door for me to get as into all of this stuff as I really have, because admittedly, the MCU changed my life. And I thought about that and I said, holy shit. Am I leaving this all behind? Like, maybe it's not Hollywood. Maybe my dad is right. Maybe I'm just getting too old for it. I'm growing out of it. And then it created a feeling of like deep anxiety and sadness. And so I came back and I went to San Antonio, and after being in San Antonio, I was sitting around at home in the evening and I said, man, you know what I miss? I miss that like Avengers 2012 era where everything was cringe, but like nothing was cringe at the same time. It was just fun and free, and everybody on Tumblr was freaking out about the superheroes and all this shit. And I said, I want to feel that again. And I don't think I'll ever get that feeling again, but let's watch Avengers 2012. So I made myself some popcorn and I sat down with the bowl, and naturally the bowl was gone in 10 minutes because who the f actually has popcorn through the whole movie? But I sat down and I decided to watch Avengers 2012 again. I knew that if I was gonna close the door on this chapter, I needed to do it going back to that and seeing that I could roll my eyes at it the whole time, and that superhero fatigue had set in and I had grown out of it and there was nothing in this for me anymore. And to be completely honest, the complete opposite happened. And I'm so shocked. And that's why I want to make this video, because I feel like more people need to do this, and I think more of us need to talk about it. I hadn't seen that movie probably since like 2014. I really don't rewatch that one very often. I think because I burnt it out between 2012 and 2013. So it had been probably 11, 10 years at this point since I had seen that movie. And I sat down remembering bits and pieces of it, and I think I thought, like, this is gonna make me wanna shoot myself. This is gonna be so terrible. I'm not gonna like this. And being totally fair, I think Avengers 2012 is still a pretty campy movie. Everybody is just a little bit over the top of the kind of person that they should be. Captain America very much acts like an old man. Tony Stark is totally the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist thing. We've got Natasha and her mystery. Hawkeye, who is there. Bruce Banner, who is so vulnerable and so open about being vulnerable. Thor, who's over the top. I mean, you have all these characters that very much are just a little bit too dialed up. And yet, watching that movie, I realized all the reasons why it worked. Because back then, Marvel wasn't focused on using their movies to push some sort of agenda, to push a message, to achieve some sort of weird, random socio-political goal that, quite frankly, superhero movies really don't need to to be meddling in. There was none of that. It really almost feels like that was their Avengers initiative. It was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people, not to fight the battles we never could, because this is a superhero movie, but it was to unite franchise favorites, to bring together some of the characters from these solo films that they had been trying out and having some success with, and put them into the first real live-action ensemble film. And they did it with that in mind. Let's just make a comic book movie. And yes, there's one-liners. Yes, everybody's a little over the top. Yes, some of those costumes are absolutely ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. Everybody bitches about Captain America's first suit. Quite frankly, the red, white, and blue spandex, I like it. Sue me. I love that suit. I've always wanted to wear it. I still live there. I might do it in 2026, so be ready for that. The point is that it was a comic book movie. That was all it needed to be. They didn't have a message they needed to send. They wanted to make a movie, and a movie they made. I hadn't seen it in so long, and you know how nostalgia's a bitch? My dad and I have had plenty of movies that he's been like, oh my god, this was the shit during the 70s and 80s, and he's shown it to me, and we've both sat there like, all right, well, that was a movie of all time. I've had it happen with video games that I remember being super challenging and a lot of fun, and then I've gone back and played them now in my 20s, and I've realized, like, holy shit, yeah, this sucks on ice. But Avengers 2012 wasn't that for me. I mean, yeah, it had the element that I felt like I was revisiting an old friend, but I've had plenty of old friends that I've come back in contact with, and I've been like, holy shit, that's why we stopped talking. Okay, please lose my number. But this wasn't one of those. This was revisiting an old friend and an era that's been long lost. The action was great. The effects were really good. The dynamics between the characters. I think Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, was at her absolute best in this movie because they let her just be her. They never had to give you the, she can do everything you can do and she can do it in heels. No, she was a badass and you believed it. And what I like is that everybody got to strut in their different way. There are these 6 incredibly dynamic, really distinct characters, and each one of them is able to bring something different to the table, both in a physical way and in a personality way, in their behaviors and their morals and their ideas. And because everybody got to contribute something different and they weren't trying to push some message for any particular character, well, you had what was a really good movie. I mean, you look at some of these movies now where they really want to push the, girl boss thing, and every man around her has to be an idiot in order for her to look better. I'm looking at you, Jen Walters from She-Hulk. But when we look at Black Widow in this movie, she's good at espionage. She's a great hand-to-hand fighter. She has her weaknesses in the movie, but she manages to escape almost being wrecked by the Hulk at one point. And I mean, we never have to have her sold to us as this over-the-top thing. We just believe that she's a bad bitch, she's beautiful, and she's rocking it. And that's great. And she's got a great dynamic with the group of men that she works with. It really is just a testament to where we were back then with movies, when movies didn't see themselves as the next campaign pusher in some sort of political race that I didn't know superheroes were running. And admittedly, the first 10 minutes, I was doing what I do with a lot of movies when I'm not reviewing them. Anytime I put something on for background noise or I just want to rewatch something I've already seen, half the time I'm playing Project Makeover on my phone because I like to do my little swipey things. I have a lot of fun. And with Avengers 2012, rewatching it, I put the phone down. And I just sat and enjoyed it the way I enjoyed it when I was 12. And I just sat there and I witnessed every moment, every punch, every shield throw, every hammer smash. I mean, all of it. And I really just took it in and enjoyed it for the movie that it was. And I enjoyed it not just for the movie that it was, but I also mourned it for the movies that used to be, because I can't tell you the last time an Avengers film felt like Avengers 2012. Even Infinity War and Endgame, I would argue, yes, they're tremendous in the aspect of like, these are really big franchise closing films now, but even those, I would argue, really don't stand up quite as well as Avengers 2012. And I'm not saying it's a perfect movie. Yes, the one-liners that I complain about frequently are very much there, and we see Whedon speak is very much alive and well. But I also feel like the stakes were high even in that movie, and I feel like the characters believed in it. I feel like the people believed in it, and there was just goodness in this movie because it was done, again, not for the purpose of sending a message, but it was done for, hey, we're making this superhero project. here it is. We hope you like it. We hope you guys show up. And unfortunately, as all things do when they get really big, people get lost in the sauce of trying to make money. At the end of the day, that's exactly why Ewoks exist, because George Lucas wanted to sell more Star Wars toys and he needed something to market to little kids. I don't really see who the would have wanted to buy one of those things because I find them genuinely horrifying as somebody who's 25 and still collects stuffed animals, but hey, to each their own. It was the 80s. But you know, as I watched this movie, for all its flaws and for all the campiness and for all the goofiness that was in it, it honestly felt like an innocent effort to entertain and to bring some beloved characters to life. And I think that that's more than can be said for a lot of the superhero ventures we're seeing lately and a lot of the films hitting the Hollywood big screen now. And it made me honestly really sad to see it, but it also kind of reinvigorated my love for these things in a way, because I looked at it and I said, no, you haven't matured. You're very much still stuck. And I'm sorry for everybody that's hoping I'll eventually be normal. I'm so sorry to my parents and my loved ones that watch this channel, but I don't think I'm gonna get any better for a long time. I haven't grown out of this stuff. My interests sure have changed and gotten diversified, but despite the fact that my interests have diversified and changed, I haven't shifted away from liking this superhero bullshit. I still love it when it's done well. I yearn for it. Now that I've seen that movie, I'm like, why don't I go back and rewatch the other old stuff? To be honest, I don't even think this is just a me thing. I think when it comes to Marvel, a lot of us feel the way that we feel now because they've basically spent the past 5 or 6 years undoing years of fan goodwill that they established with good quality movies. They've basically just worked to piss us off, and now we all kind of feel like, you know, the emotionally hurt girlfriend. I'm not gonna go back to him, he's not gonna hurt me again. And I mean, for legal reasons, don't go back. But when it comes to Marvel, looking back on the things that I used to love about it, I really sat there and thought, yeah, no, I didn't grow out of it. They just pulled away from me. And so my point here is that, sure, I think for some people superhero fatigue may be real, and I think within the box office it definitely is something to note, but I think that it's way less superhero fatigue and just that we're sick of movies that really aren't made for us. The Avengers 2012 feels like it's made for us. It's made for the people that are gonna want to see Captain America and Tony Stark mouth off at each other. It's made for the people that want that I'm always angry random Hulk transformation. It's made for the people that really appreciate all that stuff. Now, almost unanimously, Hollywood only makes movies for themselves, but above all, Marvel makes movies for a modern audience that doesn't exist. And if they would just remember that we're still here, maybe they could get back to making good movies again. And so, I'd like to present you with a challenge now as I'm wrapping up this video. If you feel like I feel, and you're not completely turned off to Marvel, because if you are completely turned off to Marvel by now, I think it's probably worth saying that you're not gonna appreciate this at all if you just feel completely disconnected to it. But if you're not, if there's part of you that still remembers those good old days, do yourself a favor, do us both a favor actually. Rewatch Avengers 2012, and don't rewatch it looking at your phone where you're hardly paying attention to it. Put your phone aside, sit the kids down, sit your wife down, sit whoever down. Sit by yourself if you want to. Sit down and rewatch Avengers 2012 and see how you feel about it. See if it takes you back to those days, or see if maybe it still tickles your fancy, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you look at it and you're like, holy shit, how did I buy tickets to watch this 3 times in theaters? Because that's exactly what I did. But go ahead and watch it and see what it does for you, and see if you're sick of Marvel or if you're just sick of what Marvel is now. Because that's what I realized. I'm not sick of Marvel. I'm not tired of Captain America. Captain America, oh my god, he was my favorite. I'm not tired of Captain America. I'm just tired of what Disney is doing with him. I'm not tired of Thor and Iron Man and all these characters. I'm just tired of Marvel taking a giant dump on them and expecting me to pay $22.50 for tickets. So honestly, I can't say I had a super specific point to this, but it really just made me remember all the good things that I once loved. It's like looking at an old photo album of an ex and you kind of forget that they were a major asshole for a second. I've never forgotten that because I'm incredibly vindictive and I love to hold grudges. But if you're able to do that, do it with Marvel. Take a walk down memory lane and go look where it all started, because yeah, we had solo movies before that, but I think 2012's Avengers is the one that really kicked off the MCU into what it eventually became. Go back, watch it, see how you feel about it, And do us both a favor, come back and let me know. I think you might be surprised at what you find. And that's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram. And if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I'll add links to all of those in the description below. And let me know your thoughts on Avengers 2012 in the comments below.